I was walking down a street like that, and I looked. You look in the windows, you want to see how other people live. But I was in a dream, and I walked by one house, and I looked in the window, and I thought, you know, what are they going to be watching on TV? The cartoons or something? And I looked inside, and you know, level to level, Fred Flintstone was walking in their living room, and I was like, mind blown. I was like, that's impossible because it looks like this, but there's a cartoon walking around. It looks like, and there's a lot of movies that have cartoons in real 3D environments, and that's exactly what it looked like. A Jessica Rabbit sort of situation where you're like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? So here's just a warning about it. After you manifest a character in your dream, they have a consciousness of their own now. They're going to do their own thing. Yeah. So some of them don't try and bring about annoying people, or annoying dream characters, because they don't necessarily want to leave you alone, right? They don't necessarily want to do what you tell them to do after you've created them. So make sure they're pleasant ones. And I did with this one. And I looked in the window more. I remember looking because I had to see more. I had to see if this was some kind of, I didn't know what it was. And I looked inside in this 3D environment, say like this. But Fred Flint, there were characters in there, cartoon characters in there, watching a cartoon TV, eating off of cartoon tables and chairs and stuff in a real life. It was just a mind-blowing situation. I've also had a situation where I didn't do it intentionally. That was more intentional, but where it was set up that a dream character was like 3D. Most of the dream character, the cartoon characters, oh, I'm getting into cartoon characters only, aren't I? But you can do real life people. You can do your relatives. You can do historical figures. You can do fictional, right, stuff in the movies. You want to talk to Frodo from Lord of the Rings, or um, Jessica Rabbit for a personal tour of the cartoon world. You can do all that, okay? But they do have a mind of their own, and they will surprise you with the things they say and do. Just a warning now. So the last video we talked about sleep paralysis, and this is an excellent thing you can do when you're in sleep paralysis. You can think about having a dream, a lucid dream, with these favorite dream characters that you want to have. Superman or something like that. How about manifesting a dream where you are talking to Superman, and he's going to tell you how to fly in your dreams now? He's going to be your flight coach. He's going to be your pilot. You're going to give you your wings. How can you not think about that, right? The sleep paralysis is long gone. You're thinking about this, and you'll be there in a second. Um, uh, So that freak out period in the sleep paralysis is going to be gone almost instantly, because yeah, you're going to want to be thinking about this. So yeah, put down below in the comments what your favorite dream characters would be. Of course, mine, honestly, nowadays are cartoons because it's just so freaky, and they can be 3D, so like you could see them. It's and some of them appear, I know, right? Some of them appear 2D, like Fred Flintstone one. It was very two-dimensional, but I had another one where it was Veronica from the Archie series of comics. Why? I have no idea. And she was totally 3D, like a real person, except it was all cartoon. And I walked around the character. It was just still like a statue, but it's a mind blower. And you can do this for, and then I've done it for relatives, right? And you can do it for historical figures. You can do it for completely fictional characters that you make up in your head, right? You could be like, I want a dream coach. Well, there you go. Now you're going to get one. Who knows what they're going to look like, right? It can be a fox in a three-piece suit, right? Or it can be a butterfly, anything. It goes, honestly, it goes beyond your imagination because, yeah, the things you'll see is just really incredible now that you're in the lucid dreaming verse, okay? You're able to lucid dream now. Let's get to some amazing things and be okay with it. Right? So how can you actually do this? You okay. You're lucid, right? Where do I start? Right. So you're lucid. You're not losing it, and you want this. You want to You want to do something awesome quickly before you slip into another dream or this whole thing ends. And it is there is a clock. I always feel like there's a clock ticking against lucid dreaming. You want to get to it ASAP. Your first thing is to summon a dream character. Now, it can be your future self. It can be Einstein. You can just say, I want to see Einstein right now. And you'll look around, you won't see him, and then you'll hear somebody clearing their throat, and oh my goodness, it's Einstein. He's right over here. Right? That's how it'll look like. Or right in front of you, sitting in a chair or on a rock or something like that. Yeah. hmm And you can ask them questions, and the more you interact with them, the more realistic their responses will be. Another technique you can use is the door technique. You visualize a door or you see a door and you say, behind this door is this character that I want. Say it's your future self, okay? Where, oh, or let your subconscious pick what's best. And you start nailing it down, it gets a little weird. Just say, behind this door is my future self, and he's going to give me great advice. You grab the handle and you open the door. It'll be fulfilled by your subconscious in the perfect way behind that door. And then you might open the door and the room will be empty. You'll say, what? And you'll walk in there and you'll look to your right, and there's this older version of yourself sitting at a chair and a table enjoying some great food or something. And you'll be like, oh my goodness, that's him. He really was in here. Or something like that. Yeah. Or you could go crazy, okay, and start manifesting other versions of yourself as an opposite sex. As myself as a girl, as myself as a guy. You can do that. It's your dream. You can do whatever you want. Yes, and some people have manifested sexual situations, of course, in lucid dreaming, or their crush, or their fantasy movie crush, right? And they want to start making out with them and that whole thing. You can do that too, okay? Right? It's all there. It's all capable. You just ask for the situation to arise, or you can do the door technique with behind this door is such and such, and that will be fulfilled in whatever way is best to you and your subconscious. Of course, the caveat here is don't dabble in negative entities because they will have a consciousness of their own and they will bother you. That's just what they do. Don't like, so let's say you are infatuated with a story. I call them gray characters, right? They're not really dark characters. They're not light characters, but they're gray characters. So like the movie Dexter, he was a perfect gray character, right? He was a good man, but he was also a serial killer. So, and for the story, that's great because it drags the audience back and forth. So the audience likes him and then loathes him, likes him and then loathes him, and right, drags him back and forth, creates great tension in the story, great drama. The series was on for a long time, but if you put him in your dreams, he might want to come for you next as your next victim, as his next victim, right? Or that might turn into a nightmare. Right? Um, yeah, so you want the most positive characters. Heck, you might want to go for Jesus. You might want to go for Buddha, right? and ask them for advice. Say, I'm living my life this way and I want this, and what do you suggest? And see what they suggest. Sometimes the suggestions you get are epic, life-changing situations. Or you can, um, okay, well, one of the techniques that I use too is the shout technique where you just shout it out. I want this right here. Um, I want Superman. I don't know why I'm coming up with them. Like I want to fly. I'm lucid. I'm new to lucid dreaming, and I want to fly. That's my big thing. I want Superman here now to tell me how to fly. Come on, bring me Superman. And 75% of the time, you're going to get Superman, and he's going to look exactly. Or hey, you could ask a Superwoman, right? You could ask a Paragirl. Let's not go there. Let's not go there. But yeah, and they say, oh, and then they arrive, and then you're like, oh my goodness, this is fantastic. You have to tell me how do you do it. How can I fly? I have these powers too, but I can't seem to do it. And let them speak. It's going to be awesome either way. Now, I've manifested characters for my dreams to help me fly. I did that once. That didn't work out great for me because he gave me this amazingly cryptic advice. Like he didn't know what he was talking about, but made it sound like a little BSy, right? It sounded like it could have worked, but it was just so cryptic. It was like, no, that's not helping me. But it was really interesting. I still remember it to this day. You can have really great experiences by it. See, now what you're doing here is you're not waiting for the dream to create things for you that you like. You're starting to create situations to set yourself up for dream success because these are the things you want instead of waiting for your subconscious to kick it out. Lucidity, consciousness is where we're at, right? When we're adults, we start to pull things into our life instead of waiting for our parents to deliver them or whatever, the universe to deliver them. Well, if I today I wanted to get something out in the store, I went out into the store and got it. I didn't wait for Christmas or Santa Claus to deliver it to me. And that's adulthood. And that's consciousness in your dreams. Instead of waiting for it to show up, you make it happen. So this usually works. Unless your lucidity is not all there yet, if your dream is a little glitchy, it's a little not really there. There are a lot of different levels of lucidity, and you may feel like you're lucid, but in recall, you're going to be like, I was not really there. So it might not work like that, but if you need to stabilize and get more power, rub your hands together and say, I'm becoming more lucid. I'm becoming more lucid. I'm becoming more lucid, more conscious. I'm awake in the dream, baby. I'm doing this. Okay, now let's produce this. And that'll almost certainly work. It's a lot better than just sitting there and hoping for it not to work. So put down in the comments if you've ever experienced any of these aspects in a dream, if you've ever created a dream character, created a door, then a dream character, or shouted something into a dream before, because I know I have people who like to lucid dream already and do lucid dream already. So just put it down in the comments, and if you haven't, just put down in the comments what you'd like to produce in a dream. I've produced, probably the freakiest thing is I was in a dream, and for whatever reason, it was like I was looking out of this hunting, what do they call it? Hunting situation shed where there's like a little slit and you look outside, and there was a dead cat in the road. And I was like, that's weird. I'd like to animate that cat. Arise, cat, arise. And all of a sudden, it started to move. And the head came up, and I was like, and then it got up, it shook its head, and it started to stumble off like a zombie, and then it started to walk like a real cat, and it walked off. And I was like, oh my God, it's like necromancy now. I just got that thing out of nowhere. Well, almost nowhere, roadkill. I brought it back to life. I changed a dream character or a dream situation from something it wasn't into something I wanted it to be. It was a fantastic little and weird experience, but that was probably the craziest dream character I ever experienced in dream. And I've had the cartoon ones. They're wild as well. So let's recap. You can create a door, which is going to have your dream character behind it. You can shout and look around for your dream character, see if it appeared. It helps when you work it with more emotion. And as usual, let's start before we even start dreaming. So, before you go to sleep, say you're a lucid dreamer or not. You say you're going to dream tonight about this character. Character doesn't have to be fictional, but that's a blanket term we're going to use for whatever you want. Whoever you want to meet. Your dream guides, your great grandfather, Abraham Lincoln, Superman, your future self, Captain Kirk, whatever. You could throw them all in there, right? And before you go to sleep, say, I'm going to dream about this. And then you kind of carry on in your head about what it's going to look like, what it's going to play out like. And that makes it a lot more likely that you're going to have that. And then when you use these other techniques, you're going to be having some really crazy, great dreams about these dream characters. Okay, so write down in the comments whatever you've experienced before in this and what you'd like to experience in dream creation, reanimating the dead, right? Or just bringing on other aspects of other characters that you've seen in movies or in real life or in your cartoons, right? So what do you say to these dream characters before we get off on it? The best way to, sorry, I have an itch on my leg. The best way to converse with dream characters is to ask them a lot of questions. Yeah, I find that's best. Then they start to flesh themselves out and start to give some crazy great answers and really interesting stuff, usually anyway. Like I said, when I asked that other dream character how to fly, he gave me this totally cryptic stuff about dominoes and the ball and the place at the right time and the right. I still don't know what he was talking about. And I left it at that because I wasn't lucid enough. I was like, oh wow, thank you very much. And then I remember trying to fly a little bit and it wasn't really working. But if I was more lucid, I would have said, that's kind of cryptic. Can you give it to me like in English? Like how? What's the first step? How? Help me here, right? Perfect. That's how you converse with them. Don't use hostility because it will flip it back on you too. And like I said, don't make negative characters or gray characters because they're not helpful. All these characters, once you create them, are going to start going off on their own. And you don't want them to bother you. You don't want them to act like a-holes, right? You don't want them to act like jerks. You want the best of the best. So drop down in the comments, of course, on anything you'd like to summon into your dreams, any person you'd like to summon into your dreams, situations, buildings, technology, spaceships, right? Any of that stuff that you... and again, it's all time dependent, so don't say I want to go into a spaceship to get to outer space because that could take, how long does it take for a spaceship to go into outer space? You want to be there now, right? And I've done that. I've manifested the bridge of the Enterprise, which is, you see all these shows, but you've never walked around in the sets. It's a whole different experience. And when you're in a lucid dream, basically that's what you're doing. It's like walking around on the set. There were no characters there or anything. There was no noise there or anything, but it was still epic because I got to see it from all different vantage points. And you put your hand on the seat and sit in the captain's seat for a bit. And yeah, it was a great dreaming experience. Okay, go get it, people. You got this. All right, till next time, fantastic dreaming, fantastic lucid dreaming.